Hello, I'm Dr. Peter Lynn. Irritable bowel syndrome. It's very common, but it's certainly not normal. You may get acid reflux or reflux disease or GERD sensation after you eat or after you lay down with food, an irritation in the center of your gut. You have constipation or diarrhea. Depends on the day and what you're doing. It's related to stress, it's related to food, causes discomfort in sleep, difficulties with sleep, can cause fatigue, even brain fog. There's many correlations between your gut and the rest of your body. Well, let's see what happens. Typically, you're going to hear that it's related to diet, and it is. Your diet, it's what you eat. But not just what you ate yesterday, it's a chronic dietary problem, most likely, that's giving irritable bowel syndrome. Over time, as you eat foods, they come down into the stomach, and if your stomach acid, number one, if your stomach acid is not low, it's not very acidic, you're not going to be able to digest your foods very efficiently at all. So they remain large particles. Or if you're not chewing your food, if you're washing your food down with water or other liquids, you're just not giving your digestive system a chance to start in your mouth, the beginning of the digestive process. So large food particles, larger than normal, enter into the stomach, and then number two, they're not able to digest or break down very efficiently. So they enter into the lower part of the stomach, and there they sit until parts of the digestive system begin to operate or function. You notice down here and up here, these are the valves in the top of the stomach and the lower part of the stomach that close and open depending on what part of the process of digestion is taking place. Carbohydrates might digest a lot quicker, and so they're not going to pass through it until the fats or the proteins begin to digest. So these valves are just amazing in their ability to close down or open up depending on their function and what they're trying to do. But right up in here, if this remains open, what will happen is food and acid will splash back up and irritate the lining of the esophagus, the tube that feeds into the stomach. This burns, we call it acid reflux like I mentioned, but it burns, it irritates, and it's irritated more with different kinds of food. Spicy foods, alcohol, chocolate, seeds and nuts, those types of things can irritate the lining of the intestine, as well as many other foods. So foods come down into the stomach, and they're either closed off or open into the small intestine. And that's where most of the absorption of nutrients takes place. But here's the problem. Typically, food comes down into the small intestine, and it looks like this. If you blow it up, it looks different than that, because this is a drawing. But there's many finger-like projections that food can enter into and remain for more digestion or absorption from the wall, inside of the wall of the intestine, into the blood system. This is what transports the foods that you eat. Doesn't matter what you eat. Most of the foods are absorbed, and they're taken into the liver for processed. Now, if you're eating a lot of the wrong kinds of foods, this is going to get backed up. The liver is going to have a lot of work to do. More so, in fact, with fatty foods or greasy foods, or even the omega oils, 3, 6s, or 9s, the oils that you eat. But dietary foods come in and are processed in the liver. But what's happening over time is this lining becomes irritated because of the foods that you've been eating, or the stress that you're under, or the lack of sleep, or it's related to many other body systems. It's not just one, but they all interplay together. So what will happen, instead of a nice finger-like projection, over time, this becomes sloughed off. It removes a lot of this interprojections, and it becomes more of a maybe thin-lined, and that's where the irritation really happens. Also, when you have a smooth-lined intestine, you're not absorbing foods. You see many people who have diarrhea or constipation, depending on what the food they eat, they can't handle it. The body wants to get rid of it or holds it onto it, but these people are malnourished. they're not able to absorb nutrients that are most important for their body's functioning. So you get constipation, diarrhea, get fatigue. Why would you get fatigue? Because you're not getting the energy, you're not getting the foods to make energy. Also, one other common factor is brain fog. Well, if you think about it, the brain needs oxygen and it needs sugars, it needs nutrients. And if you're not supplying the body, the brain is one of the first parts that notices problems with this food and oxygen deprivation or lack of. So you're going to get brain fog. Many people have brain fog. Fibromyalgia is related to this. Why would you get fibromyalgia? Well, because of the irritations in the lining of this intestine. If you've got irritations here, the body senses it and throws chemicals, inflammatory chemicals, to decrease that amount of inflammation or get rid of the particles, but in turn doing so creates inflammation in the lining. And that in turn is a self-perpetuating problem. The body's run down, it can't absorb the food, you keep doing the same things, and the body begins to break down even further. So what we want to do is we want to analyze what's going on. Is it diet related? Is it related to fatty liver? Is the liver backed up so much that it can't process, so things back up? Is it due to a difficulty with sugar metabolism? You can't digest or alter your sugar very efficiently. Is it a fatty acid problem? Again, if the liver gets backed up, you're going to have fatty liver. What's that going to lead to on blood chemistries? Well, triglyceride levels are going to rise. So we can see these things in our tests. We can do a metabolic test. We can check acid and alkaline in your saliva and your urine. We can find out metabolism, find out all the imbalances, and then get on a course of correction. We've got to correct the problem. Otherwise, it continues to go along this line. One of the other things that's related to IBS is a lack of probiotics or bacteria or flora, natural flora in the gut. The gut is 90% of your immune system, and that's where a lot of the immune factors are made. And if your gut doesn't work, you cannot produce normal bacteria, the good bacteria. So what happens to your immune system? It may alter as well. It may decrease. So many, many things are related to the intestinal system. IBS is just one of them, but you've got to figure out what's going on, get the body corrected, get the diet straightened out, put the protocols together to get this intestinal system fixed up, and then you get your health back. And that's what we want to do. That's what we do all the time with many people. This is Dr. Peter Lind. I hope this has helped you today.